This program is designed to provide general information with regards to the subject matters covered. This information is given with the understanding that neither the hosts, guests, sponsors, or station are engaged in rendering any specific and personal, medical, financial, legal, counseling, professional service, or any advice. You should seek the services of competent professionals before applying or trying any suggested ideas.
Magazine publisher and entrepreneur Judith Mancini is sharing captivating conversations with experts in their field about the latest trend in our ever-changing world to help you become healthy, wealthy, and wise. Judith Mancini today will spark your interest and inspire you to lead your best life ever. And now, here's Judith.
From the mountains to the seas, our flag waves on high, a symbol of our unity beneath the open sky. Through trials and tribulations, we've weathered every storm. Injustice shall not conquer, into freedom we are born. Truth will prevail, our flag will stand true. The promise of freedom under the red, white, and blue. With hearts full of courage, eyes full of light, we'll rise up together and show them our might. For promise of freedom is our God-given right.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us on Judith Mancini today. That was Jeff Bonnella's new album that came out that we did an interview with him before, and you can go see it on one of our replays. You can also buy the album or with one song at a time on anywhere that you buy your music, and all proceeds go to the artist. Thank you, Jeff, for allowing us to play that. I think it's a great patriotic song and album for the election time. It just speaks about democracy. Okay, everybody, I just have a couple things to say about the news that's going on. Of course, everybody is still talking about the shooting in Butler, Pennsylvania. You know, when we lived in Pennsylvania, Butler's, they say, 50 minutes or so from Pittsburgh, but it's actually pretty close. So we know all of these different areas, and it's kind of interesting to us to see where they're having these rallies. But I want to say two things. I want to say something about President Trump being shot, and that is just me looking at it. It's still under investigation, but one of the things that bothers me was that the police were being blamed for it, not being in their security level that they other people wanted, which I heard that they were assigned to direct traffic. My only question is, if they were assigned to direct traffic, and indeed that's where the police captain, whatever his rank is, has said that they were directing traffic, and definitely with that many people, they need people to direct traffic. But in my experience with law enforcement, there are many groups of teenage boys in 17, 18, 19, 20 that are in different organizations, whether they be reserve police officers or law enforcement, or they're in clubs or organizations that are training them to go into law enforcement. I think, why didn't they use somebody like that to direct the traffic and put the police out there in security? Now, that wasn't the police department's decision to make. So that's part of the ongoing investigation. My other thing I want to say is there is a lot of falderall going on about President Biden being taken off the ballot. And that is ongoing also. So I'm just giving my opinion that I feel very sorry for him. I'm not a big supporter of his, and everybody knows I support Trump. But I do think that this is now elder abuse that's going on. They seem to pump him full of something to make him very energetic and animated, and then he goes in the opposite direction. What was he doing out in crowds if he is so susceptible to COVID? This is the third time he's had COVID. And to watch this poor man go up the stairs to the helicopter and the airplane and all is pathetic. He's not feeling well. So, Dr. Jill, I hope you, as a wife, will say something and protect him more, because to me, this is cruel and unusual. And if the party wants to take him off the ballot, I don't think that it's right to talk about all of this. Keep it inside, okay? This is not fair. I mean, everybody knows that he is aging, and sometimes that affects your mind and how you speak and how you conduct yourself. So please be a little more kind to President Biden and respect the office if you don't respect the man. Okay, so today we have a guest that I have known for, I was looking it up, I think it's something like 12 years, and I've read all of her books. She's written, this is her 8th book she's written. Nancy Mueller, come on in to the studio.
Hey, Judith. Thank you for having me.
Well, you're very welcome. So now, tell me, what made you decide to go to this new genre, and explain to everybody what a sensei is?
Well, sensei is a term from the martial arts. It basically means teacher. And it means teacher in the sense of before born, meaning my knowledge was born before another's knowledge. So it's not knowledge in years, however old you are, makes you automatically more knowledgeable than another person. So you could have a sensei who is a child. Basically, a sensei is someone you go to for their knowledge. And that's a term that my clients usually refer to me as, thank you, sensei. And it's fun for me because I really, really enjoyed my time as a student, competitor, and teacher in the martial arts. And I don't think I'd be where I am today if I hadn't studied and become what I have through the martial arts.
Well, I think that was something that really lifted you up and had you break out into the true you when you were doing all of that. And you've kind of explained that in some of your books and even in this latest book. Now, this book is a little different than your other books. All of your other books seem to be coaching, teaching, helping women in every way, and sharing your personal life, which I think is always very important to people that are doing the work of helping people break out of their different problems and find the confidence and all to go on. Why don't you just talk a little bit about the previous books you've written, and then we'll get into your brand new book, because I think your other 7 books lead to this book.
Well, my other books were more autobiographical in nature, meaning this is what I experienced, this is what I did to heal it, these are the steps I took to heal it. If you resonate in some way, perhaps these steps will help you as well. And this book that I wrote it as fiction. And the more I sat down and really thought about the title, because it was the title that came to me first, I knew that this book was not going to be about me. This book is going to be about all women and the men who love their women. So, this book for me, when I sat down and started putting it together, it was challenging in the sense that I've never written as a fiction genre. And it gave me a lot of leeway. It gave me the opportunity to really expand and explore my own mind about everything being possible. And I really, really really enjoyed writing this book. I really enjoyed how it was coming together, and oh yeah, I could say this, and yes, this would be a great way to open the minds of someone who is reading this story. And so I had a lot of fun with it. I really did.
Well, I don't know that I would have had so much fun writing it. Some parts of it are pretty scary at times. And as I've said in some of my reviews and things, you had me sitting on the edge of my chair, because this was not the Nancy I knew who was helping people in your other books. So this was totally new. And I think all of your followers and readers will find that it's totally new, and it's a thriller in many ways, and not because people are peeking around corners or becoming, well, I guess it is a little bit peeking around corners and also being monsters. So, but it's not your Dracula type thing. It's a very touching book.
Well, you know, it's interesting, the feedback that I'm getting, because, you know, as women are talking to me about what they took from the book, it's so much more than I even had envisioned. And that's what's really exciting for me, because as I said, this book isn't about me. This book is for all women. So as more and more women are, you know, letting me know what they think and what they got from it and what their next step is, that's really exciting for me, really exciting.
Well, I think also it shows that many women are the victims of domestic abuse and abuse of any kind. And I think for years this has been covered up, and you didn't talk about it, and you didn't read about it actually in most novels or anything. You might see it on television or in a gangster movie, but that's what you thought. So nobody would think that in the upper echelons of society, where the people are going to charity events and wearing beautiful gowns and have their husband taking their arm and leading them in, you would not know that some of these women are really suffering inside and have no confidence and don't know where they're going. And it's a very moving book.
Well, and thank you for that. Thank you. And the thing is secrets, we all keep secrets, but understanding why we keep secrets, that's the really healing part of our inner journey. And for me, I learned to keep a lot of secrets when I was younger. Secrets about mental abuse, verbal abuse, physical abuse that escalated to sexual abuse by the age of 12. So when you have to keep these secrets because you're forced to keep these secrets, as children, we don't understand why we're keeping the secrets, other than the fact that I know if I say something to anyone, someone's going to get in a lot of trouble. Something bad is going to happen. And now, mind you, that might not make sense to an adult mind, but to a child mind, you have that fear that if I speak up and speak out, something bad is going to happen. And maybe you don't even know what that bad thing is.
And not only to you as a child, but to somebody else that's in your life will be held responsible for what you have said.
And how many people say, oh, you know, I don't want to say anything. I don't want to get this person in trouble. I don't, whatever the reasons are. And this book is not so much about the things that happen behind closed doors as it is what you can do about yourself and the power that you have to heal anything that has happened behind closed doors. Because when we feel like we can't speak up, when we feel like we don't have a voice, this is what keeps the things in the workplace silent. You know, we deal with things. There's so much going on in the Me Too movement where women are finally speaking up. And why do women not speak up? They don't speak up because they're afraid of losing their position, losing their social status, losing whatever reasons they give themselves. But whatever reason we give ourselves, it's just a belief that we have. And a belief is simply a thought you think over and over and over. So when you get down to, why do I believe what I believe? And is that really what's serving me? That's where you start to really tap into that inner strength, that inner power that you have. And when you do that and you realize, well, I'm the only one keeping me in this place of silence, everything can change for you.
That's right.
You know, it's interesting. Yesterday I saw Tyler Perry's newest movie, Divorce in the Black. And I did not understand the title until I really got into the movie. And I'm like, oh, that makes so much more sense. And basically, the main character in the movie, she's going back to her power. She's returning to who she was before she gave her power away. We can't say before we became powerless, because we either give our power away or we stand in our power. And the choice to give it away or to stand in it is based on something we believe to be true. So it's really, really important for women to understand that wherever you are, you have the power, you have the strength. You might not know the next step, but the first step is simply allowing yourself, giving yourself permission to say, there is an answer, there is a power, and I'm ready to step into it.
But what would you say to the woman who is definitely afraid to be in her own home, afraid for her children and afraid for herself, and she doesn't know how to get out of this situation to become empowered? She has to become empowered before, but she may be being beaten up all the time and not able to empower herself. And maybe she's never had a job in her life. Maybe she doesn't know how she can support herself and her children. And empowerment isn't just all about domestic abuse. Empowerment is about your entire life. Maybe you do have a job, but maybe you want to climb up the ladder of success and you're not filled with the confidence that you need. How do you differentiate in the way you coach these two different scenarios?
Well, everyone is different. There is no follow this A, B, C, D, and everything will be golden, because everything is about what a person believes, why they believe it. So someone who wants to make a change in their life, whether it's a change in their career, whether it's a change in their relationship, whether it's a change in their health, their spiritual walk, whatever it is, the first step is about, why do you want something to change? And from there, we can unravel what it is that's on their mind, because then they can look at that question and say, this is what I really want. And the thing is, most people don't really know what they want, because they've been taught to know what they don't want. I don't want the dog to bite me. I don't want, to have troubled relationships. We're so conditioned to concentrate on what we don't want that we never really stop and think about what we do want. And if you were to ask someone, well, what do you want? If they have challenges really putting that into a sentence, a cohesive sentence or a cohesive thought, it's because maybe they've never really given themselves the opportunity to believe that they can have everything they want. They can do anything they want to do. We limit ourselves based on the conditioning and the beliefs we grew up with.
So I think that it's very important how you raise your children, if you have children. And they all say that by the time a child is 8, they have ingrained in them confidence or no confidence, kindness or no kindness, intelligence, because they are taught to read or not taught to read. So they can't think for themselves and solve problems and all. What do you think about that?
Well, I think that We are all born with our own karmic contract. We come into this world, we choose our parents, we choose our geographical location, we choose the journey we want to have in life. And because we choose all of those things when we're still on the other side of the veil, when we come into this life, when we decide we're going to be born and enjoy this thing we call life, everything is about what we have asked for, what we have put into place in order to live this life. So when we understand that everything is energy, our bodies are energy, everything is energy, and we are all one. We are all part of the creator. So when you look at another person and you judge that person as good or bad, you're judging yourself as good or bad. When you look at a situation and you're judging it as good or bad, you're judging yourself, because what you're doing is you're putting that emotion, that feeling, that thought, that vibration out into the universe, and that's what we attract back to us. You could have a child who maybe their parents have a wonderful, loving relationship, and the child grew up watching this loving relationship, but yet the child feels like they could never measure up. And because they felt like they could never measure up, now they go out into adulthood and they have this low self-confidence because they don't feel worthy. They don't feel like they can measure up. And then if you track it back, it's never about blaming the parents. It's always, always about that inner journey, looking at the beliefs that we created, why we created them, and if they're no longer serving us, why are we still holding on to them?
Interesting. But now, what about a baby that's still in its mommy's tummy? How do they choose?
Well, a baby that's in utero, it feels everything the mother feels. It senses everything the mother senses. So everything that the mother is going through, the baby is feeling it as well, which is why you see, women who are pregnant, they listen to classical music and they relax and they go to spas. We want to bring the child into this world in a most loving and carefree way. But we also have to remember that everything is different today than it was when I was bringing children into the world, and when my mother was bringing children into the world, and when my grandmother, and keep going back. So it's never about looking back and trying to find someone to blame. It's always about life in the moment. Where are we right now at this point in time? So we might think that we're doing the best possible job as a parent, but we don't know what's really going on in the mind of our child. I think that I did a really great job of being a mother, but maybe if you talk to my daughters, they might have some other things to say. And it's not right or wrong, good or bad. It's simply what I chose to do and how I chose to be as a mother, knowing what I knew at the time, because trust me, if I were to bring those daughters into the world today, I would be a completely different mother than the mother I was when I was raising them. So everything is about in the moment, do what you can. Like Maya Angelou said, do what you know until you know better. And then when you know better, do better. We can only do what we know.
Okay, I understand all that, and I agree with you as playing the classical music and this and that and rubbing your belly and saying, baby, I love you. But how does a baby choose before it's even more than being fertilized as a little cell to choose their parents? Because that's what you said, that you choose your parents. And I'm not understanding how a baby chooses their parents. Why did they choose me instead of my next door neighbor?
Well, that goes back to...
I mean, maybe I'm just not understanding that.
Sure. Well, we all come from spirit, whatever that word is for each individual. God, source, and supreme intelligence, whatever that is, we are all from one source energy. And when we are on the other side of the veil, meaning before you're born, your soul is deciding, am I going to incarnate and have a human experience and be part of this expansion of human awareness and teaching others based on how I live my life? Or am I not going to incarnate and do that? So that's where we really understand life is all about the energy that we have. So when we decide as a soul, I'm going to incarnate, and my soul contract, my karmic contract is going to be discovering or experiencing emotions of shame or guilt or remorse. And so we choose experiences and people in our life to help us with that journey. And this is the soul work that we came here to do. This is the emotional work that we came here to do. And when we accept this, or when we understand this, or when we give ourselves the opportunity to be open to this knowing, now things start to change, because then we understand, oh, I am not who I am because someone told me who I am. I am who I am because I am this spiritual being having a human experience, and I am so loved and so safeguarded and so revered by the source that created me. And I knew that nothing bad could ever happen to me when I chose to be born. So anything that I would call bad or frustrating or negative, or anything that I say I don't want, is of our own choosing. And we can choose at any moment to say,
so
I don't want this.
what do people who believe what you believe, whether it's the source or God or whomever, that this little cell with the sperm swimming up to it, what do you think about abortion? If this is when life is deciding things and your soul is deciding things, and the question is on the ballot, you know, if you favor Biden or you favor Trump, how do you explain abortion? The babies, how could the baby be deciding what to do?
Well, we all have free will. We all have.
The baby isn't born yet. The baby hasn't developed yet. So how could the baby be thinking this?
You have to remember that these are soul contracts that are maybe don't make sense to our human existence. And for whatever reason, the mother decides to experience the experience that she's having. We are all one. We are all working together. And when we really look at the gift of everyone interacting together, we understand that it's not about gender. We understand that it's not about he said, she said. It's not about I'm smarter than you. It's not about I have this and you don't have this. It's about us all learning to work together. And I think Neil Donald Walsh has a really great book out, and he talks about renaming the word God with the word love. And when you think about everything as do I love this? Does this give me a feeling of love? Do I really feel loved when I do this? It's a powerful way to see how things are working in and around us.
Okay, well, let's jump to this now. I don't want to get too deep into the question of pro-life or pro-abortion. So I just wondering how these little things can determine this. When you're having your classes, I know you do classes and you do networking events and all sorts of wonderful things for women. First of all, how do they find you?
Well, I do a lot of
books, right?
Pardon me?
Your website and all is in your books.
Sure. You can visit my website at masteringyourbeliefs.com. That will give you everything you wanted to know about me and more, probably. We meet weekly with women. We have a group where and I call it the dojo, because it's like a spa for your mind and your spirit. This is a place where we can gather and have conversations about anything we want to have a conversation about and be supported, because that's what women really need. Women really need to know they're loved, they're supported, because when women feel that, they feel powerful. And when you feel powerful, you're able to give more in your relationships. And men love powerful women, because women who are powerful are confident, they know what they want. And this is such an excellent way to be your authentic self, to be unapologetic in who you are. You know, the Dalai Lama said that Western women are going to change the world, but women cannot change the world until every woman stands in her power, knows what her power is, knows where her power comes from. And this is the gift that we are sharing, not only with ourselves, but with women everywhere. We're less in competition now. We're more in collaboration now. And this is how we are spreading love and unity through the universe.
Well, I certainly believe that women can change the world. I was the first woman CEO in the natural food industry to be a woman CEO. So yes, I can see where women can change the world, because breaking that glass ceiling was something that took quite a long time. But I still think there's such a difference between men and women. And I see that coming out in your books, where I don't want to say the wrong words here, but it seems like the men are always the antagonists, and women are always trying to climb out of whatever problem they're seeking to fix. Like no confidence, not knowing how to take care of your children without an income, trying to put the puzzle together to succeed. Are these some of the things you discuss in your groups?
It is. And this is why, as women learn to stand in their power, first of all, what does that mean, stand in your power? We all have this innate power within us, and it is our birthright. It's something we're born with. We're born knowing we have everything we need to do, be, or have anything that we want. And this is why if you talk to a child, they're having fun, they're loving life, they have no fears. When we're born, we're only born with two real fears: the fear of falling and the fear of loud noises. Every other fear is taught to us by our parents, our caregivers, or whatever we are subjected to the most between the ages of birth to about 8 years of age. This is when we are creating our beliefs about who we are and our identity. So as we are able to delve back into why we believe what we believe, well, why do you believe you don't have enough confidence? Why do you believe you can't get in front of a camera and share with the world who you are and what you want to share with the world, your products, your services, your message? Everything is based on a belief. And when you master the belief, then you're able to give yourself a different perception of how your life could be. And I have found this to be true time after time after time, because everything is about what we believe to be true. If you get up in the morning and you believe you're going to have a crappy day, you're going to have a crappy day. But if you get up in the morning and you say, I believe I'm happy, I don't know why, but I believe I'm happy. Happiness is a state of being, and circumstances don't matter. Only state of being matters. It's our state of being that is creating everything around us. So as women are letting go of that belief that everything is about gender, that one gender has more power over another, that's a belief. And when we stop buying into that belief, we'll stop throwing more energy and focus and attention to that. Because as we stand in who we are and we say, what could I do today? What could I receive today? And a lot of it is about our self-worth. Do we feel worthy? A lot of beliefs that hold us back are the beliefs about why we think we don't deserve something or why we feel unworthy. So if we're holding on to secrets about something that we experience that we dare not share about, this is where we have the opportunity to expand our minds, expand our thinking. And that was the premise for this whole book, because this book actually came about. I was actually literally in the attic with two of my cousins, and we were going through years and years, 60 years of family history, so to speak, because their mom never threw anything away. And she had all kinds of documents and just stuff that she kept over the years. And as we were going through these boxes, before I opened this one box, I always kind of thought that our family, meaning me, my siblings, and my parents, were kind of the outcasts of the family. There were 5 of us kids. Everybody else had 1 or 2 children. We couldn't do the things that other families did. We never had the money. We were always like the poor side of the family. And we came across this box with information in it about different members of our family that really blew our mind. And the 3 of us were sitting there looking at each other saying, I didn't know that about Uncle so-and-so, and I didn't know that about Aunt so-and-so. Did you? No, did you? And things started revealing themselves just by opening this box. And my cousin said to me, I think you know the title of your next book. I think you know what you're going to write about next. And right then and there. And I said, yeah, and I'm going to call it Secrets in the Attic. And that's where this comes from. This title comes from, because it's about the attic is a place at the top of the house, right? You can pack up boxes and put them up there and store them for years and not even look at them a second time. Or you could think about the attic as a space in your mind where you store your beliefs, your thoughts, your feelings, your secrets. And that's an intangible something, but yet it's still impacting us. We're still having those beliefs about, am I a good mom or am I a bad mom? Am I a good person or a bad person? Am I really doing all I can with my life, or am I not doing? We have all these questions, and all of the answers that we come to are based on something that we've stored in the attic, which is our mind. And it's simply pulling it out, taking a look at it, and not allowing it to have any power over you anymore can be very transitional.
So when you counsel these women, I use the word counseling to encompass all of it, do you urge them to speak out publicly? And I don't mean necessarily in a speech. I mean, when they go out to lunch with their girlfriends, do you feel that they need to actually verbalize their experiences and what's holding them back?
You need to verbalize it, but you don't necessarily need to verbalize it to another person, or you don't need to create a video and put it on social media. It's simply about allowing yourself to take a look at the thing, the secret, the thought, the belief that you've been keeping closeted for so long. And it's that freedom of actually saying it out loud. Now, I know for myself, when I first started speaking up about the trauma that I had experienced as a child, I thought, wow, look at me. I'm speaking out loud. I'm talking about this. I'm not keeping it a secret anymore. I thought that's what made me really empowered, but that was not what made me empowered, because I was still emotionally, it was still triggering me in a negative emotional way. I was still hurt. I was still crying. And as long as you're still crying about it, as long as it's still hurting you emotionally, you have not yet healed it. So it's not about making a proclamation to the public or to another person. It's about having that opportunity to say the words. Maybe you stand in front of your camera, sit in front of your camera on your phone, and you create this video and you just talk. You just say, I'm feeling this. And you just allow yourself to say something out loud that you have never spoken out loud before. And then, if you're worried anyone will see it, then of course, delete that video right away. We used to say, write it all down, get it out of your mind, write it down on a piece of paper, and then burn the paper. I mean, there are all kinds of ways that you can do it, but it's about getting it out of your mind, that place where you got it stored and packed away, and you're not even giving yourself the opportunity to take a look at it and say, is this something I still really need to hold on to? Think about if you, I don't know, your prom dress and you pack it away in the attic, and then you're in your 40s and you pull this out and you're like, why did I keep this? I don't even know why I kept this. It's the same thing, except we're doing it with our emotions, with our thoughts, with our beliefs. We're giving ourselves the opportunity to say, why do I feel that I don't have the right to speak up and speak out about what it is that's really on my mind or bothering me? Because when you do it that way and not try to blame someone, because it's never about blame. Oh, this happened to me, so this is why I am the way I am. Well, that happened, but if you're choosing to continue to be that way, you're choosing it in the now. So you're reliving it over and over in the now. And because you're reliving it over and over in the same way, in the same mindset, this is why you're having difficulty moving past it or letting it go or healing it.
Interesting. Well, I think through the ages, there's been a lot of concern about privacy and not airing your dirty laundry, as they used to say, and things like that. And I can see where a lot of women could lose their confidence or maybe never got any confidence, where they became unburdened when suddenly they could share things. But then maybe they shared too much information. And then their girlfriends started criticizing them. Well, why didn't you leave this disastrous marriage? Why didn't you do this and that? And the same thing with vision boards and all. I'm not sure that I agree with all this. There's also—
Well, that's because it all goes back to what the individual believes. If you speak it to another person, and maybe you're having a gab fest with your girlfriends and they are judging you based on what you did, well, they're not really being there for you. They're telling you what they think you should do based on how it's impacting them. And whenever someone is doing inner work, whenever you start to shift your thinking, shift your mindset, there may be people that you no longer attract into your life or even need in your life anymore, because you no longer need that energetic, that vibration of what you were giving to each other at the time. And this is why it's so difficult when someone is trying to choose, well, who do I talk to about this? When you talk to someone, what is it that you're looking for when you speak? Are you looking for commiseration? Because you can find a lot of people who will jump on your bandwagon and agree with you for all the reasons that it's a horrible, bad thing that it happened. But when you can talk to someone who can say, well, why do you feel the need to hold on to this pain? That's when growth and expansion really starts to happen.
Yes. And I think with your girlfriends or your male friends, whatever, any of your friends, men and women, if they're commiserating with you and not sharing how they could handle it or wish you would handle it or giving any useful advice, then maybe it's time to not be friends anymore. Maybe it's time to change your life and get some friends that might be more supportive. Not that you should unburden yourself with everybody you meet, but if they can't understand your pain or can't accept your pain and have anything good to say, I think through life, I have friends that have been friends for over 50 years and I still have them, but I have some friends that I don't see anymore just because our lives have gone in different directions. And I will say I have been criticized by a lot of people after losing my son. And I feel that it's really none of their business.
And that's the thing. It's like
I have a lot of confidence. I have a lot of confidence, and I'm what I call a very strong woman. And I appreciate reading your books because I think you're leading women into becoming much stronger women and more independent and what do you call it? Losing my words here. Empowered.
Empowered?
Sorry. Do you use vision boards or?
I don't. That's not part of my practice. And every person is different.
Yes.
We start out just asking the same question, what do you want? And we go from there.
Right. But I have never felt that putting a picture of a Mercedes sports car on my vision board is something that should be there at the top of my list. Now that's different.
Well, that's good. You make a good point though, because a lot of times when a person is asked what they want, probably the top, I don't know, maybe 10, 50 or so answers are something material.
Yes.
But the true answer, I feel, what everybody wants, we want to be happy.
Absolutely.
So when you start with, I want to be happy. Okay. So what do you think is taking away happiness from you? That could be the second question that you ask yourself, because then that's when all of the information will start tumbling out of your mind and it'll say, well, I'm unhappy because X, Y, Z. And that's where you start to realize what your beliefs are and maybe how other people are playing into those beliefs.
I think a lot of people should think about something other than the material things. But of course, Madonna says, I am a material girl, and goes on to sing about everything she likes. So it's all different.
There's nothing wrong with wanting material things.
Of course not. But that can't be the only thing that makes you happy. Running out of time here, I just want to ask you one quick question. Do you believe in manifesting things, writing things on your bathroom mirror? I will be happy. I will not be angry. I will this and that, or in a book?
Well, the thing about manifesting is we're always manifesting. We are continual manifestors. The thing is what are we manifesting? We manifest based on how we feel. What we believe is feeding into how we feel. So if you have affirmations and you're writing things on your mirror, like I am a good person, I am worthy, but you're saying it with very low feeling. And so your words, the affirmations, and your feelings don't match, the manifestation can't come to fruition. So what you're actually doing is you're blocking it. So it's like everything that you say you want is on the other side of this invisible wall. And you're standing here and you're like, why can't I get it? Why can't I get it? And it's because just break down this wall of what you're feeling and the negative emotions that you're holding on to. And any fear-based emotion is enforcing that wall, and you have the power. You're the only one that has the power to break down that wall.
Okay, Nancy, thank you so much for coming on the show today. You have lots of very viable and interesting thoughts on how to become empowered. And don't forget to go out. You can get it on Amazon, by the way. Secrets in the Attic, A Woman's Journey to Empowerment. All of her great ideas and things. And besides, it's a thrilling book. There it is, Secrets in the Attic. Her books are always bestsellers, so you better get on there. You should have done it during Facebook, or rather Amazon Prime.
How good.
Thank you so much for coming on. It's time for us to say goodbye. Thank you, Nancy, for coming, and I will talk with you soon.
Thank you.
Okay, everybody, it's time to say goodbye to you too. Wow, what a time it is in our country. There's so much going on, so try to keep up with it on both sides of the aisle. And I want to leave you with these words. Cherish yesterday, dream tomorrow, and live today.